Have you ever watched an Olympic event and based on a judge's score, you look at it and what you've seen, you think, hmm, I'm not so sure there's something a little bit fishy going on here. I'm not sure I agree with the judge's decision on that particular event. Well, I have, because, every 4 years, all of us become, shall we say, couch experts on sports that we only see once every 4 or maybe even 8 years apart. So I guess maybe this is human nature, but of course, my opinion is always the right one, regardless of what the judge from whatever country decides about his expertise in that area, of course. So, so it's Olympic time. So what can we learn from events like sporting events like the Olympics? Well, believe it or not, Scripture actually uses athletic competition in a variety of places to teach us about spiritual things. For example, 1 Corinthians 9 talks about, do you not know that in a race all the runners run, but only one gets the prize? Run in a way as to get the prize in our spiritual lives. Hebrews 12 talks about, let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us. So it's not, it's okay to talk about athletics and the principles that we learn from that in a spiritual sense. So, as you know, many of the events at the Olympics are timed. Some directly against others. Some are teams against each other. But also there are events. I don't know, skating's one, I guess, that comes to mind. Some of the snowboarding that goes on, where it's just judgment by the panel of experts. And so it seems that that's probably more analogous to our spiritual lives than some timed event or something, one person against the others. So what can we learn from all this? Well, we do know that in our own spiritual lives that our races, our events are different. In some places, in Scripture, we're actually compared to different parts of the body. 1 Corinthians 12 talks about it and says we have many different parts in our body. They still form one unit that works together. And it talks about the hand being different from the foot and the ear being different from the eye, but they're all necessary and they're all unique. And the point being that, when we talk about our race, our spiritual journey, they're all different. Maybe you're the ear, maybe you're the eye, maybe you're the foot, maybe you're the hand. Doesn't matter. But your race, your event is different than anybody else's. The Bible also points out in various places that we can't simply be judged by our output, our work measures, our metrics, if you want to think about it in a business kind of way. For example, Jesus one day, Scripture records in a couple of different places in the Gospels, he saw people giving money at the temple or to the temple treasury. And there was a widow he witnessed throwing just a couple of copper coins in. And then he saw some rich people throwing lots of money into the offering plate, shall we say. And he noted there that the widow actually gave more than the rich people because she gave of her substance and they were just giving from their wealth. So, for example, you watch the Summer Olympics and you see the weightlifting. Have you ever seen that? It's astonishing at what some people can weigh. So I'm glad spiritually at how much they weigh, how much they can lift, in weightlifting. And so I'm really glad that I'm not judged by their metric because I would never, ever measure up. So, we do what we can. We're on our own spiritual path, and we really can't be measured against others by some sort of output or some kind of metric or some kind of giving or those types of things. But we do know that just the fact that there is right and wrong in this world, that implies, and the Scripture says, that at some point we're all going to be spiritually judged. So that sort of begs some questions. Well, who's the judge here? Is this going to be fair? What if I'm a brand new believer? How can I possibly compare or measure up to somebody who's been a follower of Jesus for 30 years? How can that possibly be? Maybe I'm the first person in my family to ever believe in Jesus. And these other folks, they go back generations and they have all this family culture. And how can I ever measure up to that? Well, that's a reasonable thought and a reasonable question to ask. But so here's the thing that is really different in spiritual matters than in our human endeavors for things like the Olympics as an analogy. The good news is that we will have what Scripture refers to as a righteous judge in the end that understands each of us individually, is not subject to personal bias, to politics, to having a bad day. Whatever happens to human judges, sometimes that can affect their opinion. Acts 17 talks about we are God's offspring, and it says, "For he has set a day when he will judge the world with justice by the man he has appointed." And it makes it clear that they're talking about Jesus. So 2 Timothy says, "I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. Now there is in store for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will award to me on that day." So Scripture says we're going to be judged by Jesus, who is just and right and has all of the right information, and that will be our evaluator, not certainly any other human. So this is kind of a neat thing to me. When I watch things like the Olympics and these events, and you see an event where the judge, the referee, the rules official sort of seems to be a little bit biased in what they're doing or having a not quite correct behavior, maybe remember a few spiritual things. Number one, we're all humans and we all run our own spiritual race. Just like the eye is different from the ear, I'm different from you. Second thing is our race is not against anyone else or decided by a clock or for goodness sake by some other human, but someday it'll be judged by Jesus himself. And this is the good news. Spiritual judgment is not going to be by inherently flawed human, but by what Scripture calls the righteous judge. So this is such a relief to me. Talking about Jesus, and who will be our righteous judge, it says in Hebrews, "For we do not have a high priest who is unable to sympathize with our weaknesses, but we have one who has been tempted in every way, just as we are, yet was without sin. Let us then approach the throne of grace with confidence, so that we may receive mercy and find grace to help us in our time of need." So my spiritual Olympics will be judged by the righteous judge who knows my thoughts, my weaknesses, my strengths, and my heart, Jesus Christ himself. For that, I'm thankful. Have a good week. We'll see you next week at OFC10.